Hey everyone, this is Snatch Gaming. I'm Mike, and if you've got one of these, you're in business, right? You've got your game. You've got your copy of Alien Storm. You can call your buddy up and say, hey man, I got this game, Alien Storm. We should really play it together. Oh, what's it like? Oh, it's kind of like Golden Axe, but kind of not. Cool. So your buddy comes over, you play some Golden Axe, and everyone has a happy time. So all you really need is this, right? Well, not really. It's kind of the same situation as Astro Warrior here. I can play Astro Warrior to my heart's content with this thing, but as a collector, what I'm really looking for is this. See, you've got the nice box art, you've got the cartridge with the manual, you've got everything the original retail game came with. So, for a lot of collectors like myself, this is what we're really after. And when you're out hunting for games, any game is better than none, but at the same time, it just really eats at you if you can't have that complete copy that you want. And there's all kinds of other little nagging things that once you pick up a game, you might have some reservations, even though it's a game you've been looking for a long time. So let's take a look at a few of those. I'll let you in on mine, and I want to know about yours at the end of the video too. So let's check it out. One of my big annoyances when I'm out in the wild finding games, and this happens a lot with games that are typically cart only all the time. If you get them in the box, you're really lucky, like Nintendo or Super Nintendo, and that is fucked up labels. So here's my copy of Super Mario Bros. 2 here, and I actually found this inside an NES that I found in a thrift store. So, nice little bonus, right? And it is. I'll take it any day over nothing. But as you can see, the front of the label, the bottom half is all but torn off. Everything's faded. You've got some scuffing on the top, some really bad scuffing actually. And the top of the cartridge as well. The label is almost all but either ripped off or faded off. Only a big-time collector would probably know that this is Super Mario Bros. 2. Maybe someone could take a guess, but otherwise, the label's pretty banged up. So even though I do have Super Mario Bros. 2 in my collection, I'd like to have a better copy down the road. Not enough to outright buy one, but yeah, I really wish I had a nicer copy of Super Mario 2. A slightly less worse offender would be Codename Viper here. Actually, Codename Viper has kind of a crappy label to begin with, only because the logo of the game is so weird, you can't really see the word Codename. It just looks like it says Viper on the end label when you're looking through your games. And as you can see, mine is pretty messed up here. It's got a lot of discoloration. It looks like the blue on the end label is actually flaked off a lot, which is weird. It's not faded, it's not ripped. It looks like the color actually flaked off. So I don't know if this is something that's consistent with Capcom labels, I'm not really sure. But the name of the game is hard enough to see as it is, and mine's a lot, not a little, but a lot banged up. So when you're looking for games, it's kind of hard to spot this one right out in the open. I wouldn't really go out of my way to get another copy of Codename Viper. I mean, it's a decent game, but I won't really be out spending any more money on it anytime soon. Here's a big one if you're a Sega collector. Fucked up cases. Now, this happens a lot with these big jewel cases for the Sega Saturn and for the Sega CD. A lot of times, I might even buy a game that I don't even care about if it has a nice case and it comes for a cheap price, just to have more of these, because they're not really widely available. Here's my copy of Fighting Vipers here, which, as you can tell, is pretty screwed up. I mean, both of the edges are broken off, so it doesn't lock in there. The top comes right off, so as you can see, these can be really frustrating. Here's my copy of Lynx for the Sega CD. See, exactly, there's not even a front on it. These are so banged up, and half of these that I have in my collection, which is kind of a modest collection, but I'd say about 50% of these are cracked or the hinges are screwed up, and I need a replacement. And I'm not really paying $8, $10, $12 a pop for new replacements, so the solution to this, buy a crappy copy of college, NBA, whatever, for the Saturn, or NHL Power Play, or some game like that that has a nice case. grab a copy for $2.50 or even $4 or $5 would maybe be worth it, because these cases aren't being remade anytime soon. Here's one that I think I'm definitely not alone on. Crappy greatest hits packaging. You've got the Sega Classic version of Golden Axe here. Just a Sega Classic, but I love the black Genesis covers. They're some of my favorite cover templates that I've ever seen for a console. And it's just kind of ruined by this blue that doesn't really go with it, I don't think. Now, just for reference, the Sega Classic versions do have the original manual, the original label, and things like that. But Golden Axe is such a Genesis staple that I really would like an original copy of this one. And you've got one that I think everyone agrees is just too garish to fit in with the regular titles in the library. The PS1. The neon, lime green, whatever you want to call it, it's just not cutting it here. I mean, here's Cool Borders 3 here with the black label. It looks great. And then loaded here with the green label, it just doesn't look right. It looks like this is like a knockoff PS1 release that someone shipped from Korea or something. Just not a fan at all. This is probably one of the worst offenders for the greatest hits. So anytime I come across these, I really, really wish I had this. Now, this is the big one for me, and not everyone shares this sentiment. Not everyone is as anal of a collector as I am, but a lot of people are, I know too. And that is the lack of a manual in a boxed game. It's especially frustrating with Sega stuff simply because they have these nice clamshell cases and you wonder what people did with the manuals. I suppose they took them out, read them, threw them to the side, and they eventually accidentally ended up in the trash. It's still frustrating though as a Genesis collector because it's almost like a tease that you've got these boxes that have lasted 20, 30 years, but the manual inside still isn't there. It's still not complete. So this is one of my favorite Master System games. It has some of the best memories for me from when I had a Master System, and it just kills me that the manual isn't there. So you're faced with a situation where you have to find a spare manual, which sometimes you can find on eBay, sometimes you can't, but the problem is you usually pay out the nose for them. If you pay $4 to $5 for a spare manual just by itself, that's not a bad deal on eBay, with free shipping, of course. And this, for instance, this Fighting Vipers copy that I have here, I paid $7 for this manual. So you think, $7, that's no big deal, just to complete a game that you really like. But it adds up really fast. I did the same thing with Spider-Man here. Paid $4 for this manual. So we're already up to $11. So buying spare manuals isn't cheap, and it's a lot of money that could be going to getting brand new games. So I try to calm myself on the manual thing, but it's just really difficult. I haven't been able to do it. I'm a complete in-box guy, so no manual is kind of a no-go for me. But again, if I'm faced with the choice, I'll go ahead and purchase the game. But the manual, I'll be on the hunt for after that. Now this is one that I really don't care for at all, but some collectors actually like. Now here's my copy of Shadow Dancer for the Genesis. I love this game. As you can see, no manual, but hey, it's better than nothing, right? But the cartridge has these rental stickers on it. Now, a lot of people like this. They like the fact that the cartridge or the box or what have you has some character to it. It kind of lets you know where the game's been throughout all these years. I personally don't like it. I want something that's as close to the retail copy from back in the day as possible. So in a perfect world, I would take these stickers off. They are a bitch to get off though. They're usually kind of like a foil, right on the label kind of thing with the rental stickers. The employees just slap them right on there without any regard to the label. And they're not just paper stickers. Like there's a paper one here that I'm still afraid to try to peel off just because of this paper label. But this foil one here, I'm not going to mess with it. This one's slapped right in the middle. So down the road, I would like to get a complete nice copy of Shadow Dancer, but this will do for now, I guess. Now this is just kind of a little bonus entry, but here's a question for you. When is a complete in-box game of a game that you're looking for not considered complete in-box in your mind? Well, I never really asked myself that question. I didn't even know it was a legitimate question until I bought James Pond off of eBay. This is a complete in-box copy here. This is a game I had as a kid. I had a lot of fun with it. It doesn't really hold up that well these days, but it was kind of important to me to get a complete in-box copy, and given that it's an early 90s EA game, that meant cardboard box. And these boxes don't hold up all that well. They actually hold up, they don't even hold up as well as the red Sega Genesis ones that from the mid-90s or so got a little beat up over time. These are actually worse. I think the quality is worse, and obviously they're just a few years older too. But James Pond here, I received this in the mail, and obviously I'm happy. I've got complete in-box on James Pond, so I am counting it. I don't want anyone to think I'm not counting this one. But at the same time, if we were rating complete in-boxes on like a 1 to 10 scale, this is like a 2 or a 3. I mean, look at this. There's actually every edge on here is worn down and, you know, rubbed down to the bone, and the color is taken off on all the edges and all the corners, and on the back there's actually tape where there was a little hole punched into the cardboard. It's probably about 1.5 inches by 1/2 inch, and they actually pulled the cardboard back where it belonged and put tape on it. So it's just a funny question. Is this still complete in box, given that it kind of basically has a hole in it and the entire dimensions of the box are rubbed down and whittled down to the point where the box is barely staying together? This game isn't really worth a lot. It's probably worth $8 or $10, but I'm keeping it in this little plastic case. I apologize if it's shining all over the place, but I'm keeping it in this little plastic case because I'm afraid the thing is going to fall apart. So it just goes to show you, even when you have what you want, you can still reason in your head that you don't have exactly what you want. So that's all my little game collecting faux pas and little frustrations when I do come across games. Again, keep in mind, it's all about the actual games. It's all about getting the games in your collection and being able to play them at a moment's notice, and that's what counts the most. At the same time, we're lucky enough that we're still finding games out in the wild and old games that we used to have in our childhood. So once we have that copy, we actually want a better copy sometimes. So that's all I was really trying to say with this. Do you have any collecting things that really just bug you when you're out there and you find a game and you're kind of happy, but it's kind of bittersweet too because it's not the exact copy that you would want? Let me know in the comments below. Like and share this if you can. I'd really appreciate it. I hope you really enjoyed this. This is Snatch Gaming. I'm Mike, and I'll see you guys next time. These are some of the biggest offenders, I think.